After spending nearly 3 years in NXT, the former Women's World Champion debuted on the main roster as a member of the Riot Squad, alongside Ruby Soho, FKE Ruby Riot, and Valhalla, FKE Sarah Logan. The group remained together for 2 years before splitting in 2019 when Morgan moved to SmackDown while her partners remained on Raw. When the 30-year-old later returned to Raw, she had a brief feud with Soho before they reconciled and reformed the Riot Squad in 2020. Nevertheless, they disbanded again about a year later when Soho was released from her contract. In a recent interview with No Contest Wrestling, Morgan revealed that she was devastated when she learned that WWE was breaking up the Riot Squad. She pointed out that she and her former partners loved each other and felt they still had so much to do together. Following her release in 2021, Ruby Soho joined AEW. Although Valhalla was also let go in 2020, she returned to WWE 2 years later. The former Riot Squad member is currently on maternity leave. Meanwhile, Liv Morgan is now one of the top female WWE superstars on the main roster. Last year, the former Women's World Champion joined the Judgment Day. After losing the title to Rhea Ripley earlier this year, the 30-year-old will compete in the Women's Elimination Chamber match for a shot at the Eradicators Championship at WrestleMania 41. Liv Morgan, Wwe's beloved superstar, is no stranger to the bright lights of the ring. Known for her high-energy persona and fiery spirit, she's captured the hearts of fans worldwide. But as she opens up about a recent chapter in her personal life, Morgan reveals a side of herself rarely seen. The woman behind the fierce wrestler, grappling with the complexities of love and loss. In an exclusive conversation, Liv Morgan reflects on a heartbreaking breakup that has rocked her emotional world. As a public figure, she's always maintained a strong exterior, but behind the curtains of the squared circle, the walls were much more fragile than fans could ever imagine. For Liv, the relationship felt like a whirlwind of raw connection and deep emotion. "We just loved each other," she explains, her voice softening as she recounts the early days. It wasn't about the fame or the persona. It was about two people who found solace in each other's company. She describes the moments they spent together as real, pure, and simple, untouched by the spotlight and free from the pressure of their busy, high-profile lives. The love they shared wasn't rushed or forced. It wasn't a calculated strategy or an effort to make it work. It was just love, spontaneous, honest, and unfiltered. For Morgan, this authenticity is something she cherished above all else. "The connection we had was special. We didn't need to be anything else, just ourselves. And I thought that was enough," she reflects. But as Morgan knows too well, sometimes love isn't quite enough. Despite the deep bond they had, the relationship began to fray under the weight of external pressures. As a WWE superstar, Morgan is no stranger to public scrutiny. Her personal life, like that of many other celebrities, was constantly under a microscope. The added pressure of living in a world where private moments are often dissected by the media can take its toll on any relationship, no matter how strong it may seem. "I think there was always this expectation for us to be perfect," Morgan shares. "People assume that because we're in the public eye, we have everything figured out. They don't see the behind-the-scenes struggles." WWE stars often find themselves juggling demanding schedules, international tours, and intense training regimens. For Morgan, the constant travel meant long periods of separation from her partner. The physical distance only deepened the emotional strain. "We spent a lot of time apart," she says, pausing for a moment. And I guess when you're apart for so long, you start to drift. It's not something that happens overnight, but gradually you begin to lose that connection. As much as Morgan tried to keep the relationship intact, the emotional toll of balancing her wrestling career with her personal life became undeniable. The distance, both physical and emotional, created a divide between them that was impossible to ignore. The breakup came as a shock to many who followed their relationship. To the outside world, it seemed like a perfect match. But for Morgan, it was a painful decision that she knew deep down was necessary. When we broke up, it felt like a part of me had been ripped out, she admits. We loved each other so much, but sometimes love alone isn't enough to keep two people together. It's hard to explain, but when things start to slip away, there's nothing you can do to hold on to it. The heartbreak was palpable. As someone who has spent years building her persona as a tough, resilient WWE superstar, Morgan found it difficult to reconcile the vulnerability she was feeling with the persona fans had come to expect. People think I'm always strong, that nothing can break me, she says, laughing softly. But the truth is, I'm just like anyone else. I hurt, I feel, and sometimes it's okay to not be okay. The emotional aftermath of the breakup left Morgan grappling with feelings of loss and confusion. Despite the love that had been present, it wasn't enough to overcome the challenges that had ultimately torn them apart. I think the hardest part is knowing that it wasn't because we didn't care, she reflects. We just couldn't make it work anymore. In the months following the breakup, Morgan has taken the time to focus on herself. She's known for her strength inside the ring, but she's also had to tap into that inner strength outside of it. In her own time, she's explored new passions, surrounded herself with close friends, and worked on her mental and emotional well-being. I've spent a lot of time reflecting on who I am apart from the ring, she says thoughtfully. It's easy to get lost in this world, to forget who you are outside of all the chaos. I've learned that I need to take care of myself first. I need to love myself before I can love anyone else. Morgan has also been vocal about seeking therapy and taking steps to heal. She wants her fans to know that it's okay to not have everything figured out, to not always have the answers. Healing isn't linear, she explains. There are days where I feel strong, and then there are days where I feel like I'm starting all over again. But that's part of the journey, and I'm okay with that. Through this personal growth, Morgan has gained a deeper understanding of what it means to truly be at peace with herself. I've learned that I don't need validation from anyone to be happy, she says, her confidence growing with each word. I am enough. I am worthy of love, and that starts with loving myself. As she reflects on the relationship, Morgan remains grateful for the love they shared, even if it didn't last. I'll always have a special place in my heart for him, she says. We were a part of each other's lives for a reason, and even though it didn't work out the way we hoped, he'll always appreciate the moments we had. For Morgan, the journey isn't over. While the heartbreak of the breakup will always be a part of her story, it doesn't define her. She's ready to embrace whatever the future holds, both in her career and in her personal life. Love may have been fleeting in this chapter, but for Morgan, the future is filled with possibilities. We just loved each other, she concludes. And sometimes that's enough. Through her vulnerability, strength, and resilience, Liv Morgan is learning to embrace the pain of the past while looking forward to the brighter days ahead. Her journey continues, both in the ring and in her heart.